And that's the reason I'm pissed off. That's not true. I did vomiting out of me because I've sat here with it, just like Christine. What if the person who spoke softly in the room had the loudest truth? For more than a decade, Sister Wives fans saw Meri Brown smile through heartbreak, nod graciously as she was ignored, and blend into the background as Kody and Robyn Brown defined the family's public face. As Robyn was portrayed as the pleasant, soft-spoken peacemaker, and Kody was in charge. As the misunderstood patriarch, Meri was frequently relegated to the sidelines, dismissed, cut down, and carefully managed. But all of that was shattered when the silence was broken, and not only with words but with evidence. It started with a grainy 2-minute video clip. No music, no introduction, just muffled whispers and unsteady camera work uploaded late one night on Reddit. The clip featured what appeared to be Robyn and Kody standing in a dark hallway, their voices low but their words slicing. Robyn's voice shook as she spoke. She's cooking something up. Meri's spoken to people. She hesitated. Then she said, if she goes public with the truth, you won't make it through this. Kody's reply sliced through the sound like a chill wind. She doesn't have the courage. She's threatened this for years. We'll bury her. It was a moment that shook the fandom. This wasn't drama, it was plotting. It's a strategy to silence Meri, to guard a reputation that fans were now coming to understand had been strategically built from the very start. The couple previously regarded as the solid core of the family was suddenly exposed as the focal point of a control narrative, and fans reacted with lightning speed. TikTok erupted. Twitter, now X blazed. YouTube overflowed with reaction. Fans weren't merely surprised, they were outraged. And then the sticky note, just 5 words scribbled in Robyn Brown's handwriting, found taped to an old lease agreement from Meri's Las Vegas home. Don't discuss this just yet. Meri didn't offer a caption. She didn't explain. She simply posted a photo of the note to her Instagram story, letting the world see what had been behind the scenes all along. That small note wasn't a sheet of paper. It was a receipt. Proof that the silence fans witnessed from Meri wasn't natural. It was planned. She hadn't simply decided to remain quiet. She was instructed to. But the moment of transformation came when Meri voiced out. Her own words, her own voice from her own front porch. No crew, no production, no edits. Simple. Meri in a gray sweater seated on a porch swing while snow fell gently in the background. Her voice broke. Not for dramatics, but from keeping it all inside for too long. I gave everything to this family, she whispered, and when it hurt, I kept quiet. When I was made to feel invisible, I smiled. She didn't name names, she didn't raise her voice. But every word carried the weight of a decade's worth of emotional restraint, and one line shattered everything. I'm not unstable. I'm free. The internet stopped in its tracks. Did you guys just have great sex? I'm going to ask that because if you're saying I want to answer that question. That's not what it is. These are loving relationships. Sex is part of it. This wasn't the sheared, sugared Meri people had come to expect. This was the actual woman. And her voice, smooth, kind, yet unyielding, struck more forcefully than any reunion special could. It pierced through the den, through the legends, through the years of TLC's slick editing, and it didn't let up. Robyn's image of the vulnerable victim, carefully constructed, began to erode, particularly following the emergence of a viral TikTok video of her own half-sister, Belle. Belle did not rant or over-the-top dramatize. She just laid it out, she explained. Growing up with Robyn, seeing her learn to use tears as tools, guilt as a means of control, and vulnerability as a weapon. Robyn could always turn a room with one tear. Belle explained simply. And Kody, he was the ideal audience for her. Belle's 45-minute expose was raw, tranquil, and brutally clear. In 24 hours, it had accumulated more than 10 million views. The comments weren't only from Sister Wives fans. There were women from everywhere. Women who had witnessed the same things in their own lives, in marriages, churches, and workplaces. Women who had been told to smile, to be quiet, and to not rock the boat. Meri wasn't just talking about herself anymore. She was talking for them. And then the show itself started to change. Following Cody's on-set breakdown, a fury of a rant at Meri, during which he screamed about her lack of appreciation and accused her of creating a victim complex. Security was requested. Cody was removed from the set. Within days, an internal HR memo leaked in confirmation. Cody had been suspended from filming for 18 days for confronting production staff and not following filming rules. That suspension wasn't merely a disciplinary remark. It was symbolic. For the first time, Sister Wives proceeded without him. And in that void, something lovely occurred. Producers started pulling out old, unaired footage, clips that were previously cut to shield Cody's reputation. Moments of emotional gaslighting, control, and actual tension. And the season 19 trailer, that was where things changed. Soft piano music, slow motion shots, the warm, comforting tones, but something was amiss. Cody and Robyn, they weren't in the trailer. Not at all. No couch interviews, no speeches, no over-the-shoulder camera turns. It was all about Meri, Christine, and Janelle, the very same women who had been bench-warmed for decades. Initially, fans thought it was only for one episode, possibly a teaser. Then the official press kit was released, and it made it clear what everyone knew in their gut: Cody and Robyn weren't merely edited out. They were omitted. This wasn't a publicity stunt. It was an actual intentional change, and off-camera things were even more telling. Leaked internal emails from within TLC revealed producers' internal discussions. One memo viewer's sentiment is highly in favor of the other wives. We need to adjust accordingly. Another, labeled confidential, was even more explicit. We can no longer defend the Brown family's image at the cost of reality. This is not sustainable storytelling anymore. That was all. The veneer finally dropped. TLC, long criticized for tiptoeing around the dysfunction, had made its move. And it wasn't just a creative decision. It was a cultural one. 'Cause the numbers didn't lie. Meri's porch video hit over 3 million views in days. Christine's memoir sold out in pre-orders. Janelle's calm strength struck a chord with fans across generations. The truth was finally being revealed. Not through Cody's eyes, not through reality TV confessionals, but through the women who lived it. And when Cody made one final desperate attempt, one last shot at silencing Meri, a lawsuit for $230,000 and an NDA to keep her quiet, it backfired. The judge wouldn't accept it. The fans wouldn't accept it. And Meri, she didn't even blink. Waived a draft non-disclosure agreement, one not signed by attorneys, but by Robyn herself, dated all the way back in 2020. She then gazed into the camera and stated it for all to hear. You don't get to control my story anymore. It was more than just a legal victory. It was symbolic. It was healing for Meri, for Christine, for Janelle, and for all of those millions of viewers who had been tuning in all along. Getting this feeling that something wasn't right, but never quite realizing how deep it went. And that's where you enter into the picture. You saw the revisions. You sensed the discomfort. You posed the tough questions the show never resolved. You watched when Meri faded from the limelight. You heard what she wasn't permitted to utter. And now at last, she's telling it. So if you felt this change, if you've ever intuited the cracks within the picture-perfect story, this narrative is yours too. Leave a comment below. Let us know, were you one of the ones who always saw it? And don't forget to subscribe, where we go deeper, dissect the drama, and reveal the truth about reality TV. Because this story, it's not finished. But finally, it's finally being told truthfully. What if the girl we hardly even noticed had the whole truth in her hands. For years, we've watched Sister Wives unfold like a carefully choreographed dance. Smiles in the right places, a few tears to tug at our hearts, and always that same quiet rhythm. Cody out front, Robyn close by, and Meri somewhere in the background. Always present, always polite, and always silent. But now that silence is broken. And what's spilling out is something so raw, so long buried, it's changing how fans are seeing the story they thought they knew. It didn't come from a glossy tell-all, not a primetime interview, no makeup team, no dramatic music. Just a woman on her porch in a gray sweater with snow quietly falling behind her and the weight of years in her voice. If you've ever stayed quiet to keep the peace, if you've ever been that person whose story got cut out of someone else's spotlight, you might find yourself looking at Meri Brown in an entirely different light. Because this is more than just a TV show. It's about the gradual wearing away of a woman's voice and the moment she realized she wasn't going to be quiet about it anymore. It began with whispers. Off-screen whispers between Robyn and Cody, captured on a late-night grainy video that never should have made it to the outside world. Words never intended for us. Never intended for anyone outside of their close-knit circle. But once they were out there was no turning back. Next, there was a sticky note. 5 scribbled words. Quiet but deafening. The type of evidence that makes everything fall into place. And the silence we witnessed all those years suddenly didn't feel serene anymore. It felt orchestrated. Emotional blow after another, while Robyn and Cody were center stage controlling the story. But what if that quietness wasn't acceptance? What if it was coercion? And what if Meri wasn't the issue, but the evidence that something more fundamental was amiss? This week, it all came crashing down. The web went wild after a grainy late-night video emerged, making the rounds. One that already is being hailed by fans as the turning point. In the video, 2 voices, widely accepted to be those of Robyn and Cody, are heard whispering to each other in a dark hallway. But it wasn't worry in their tone. It wasn't remorse. It was terror, panic even. And then came the real shocker. A yellow sticky note written in Robyn's own handwriting stuck to an old lease agreement from Meri's Las Vegas home. Just 5 simple words. Don't discuss this just yet. But it wasn't a sticky note. It was a sign, tangible evidence that the quiet we witnessed on tape wasn't coincidental. It was planned, edited, and suddenly that reserved Meri we'd gotten to know for all those years. She emerged at last in her own voice from her own front porch. No camera crew, no edit, no filter. Just Meri, unvarnished, unscripted. And when she spoke, Cody lost it on set, on camera, so badly that security had to get involved. So today, we're not just recapping an episode. We're stepping into a long overdue reckoning. One that's been brewing for years, hidden behind the scenes of Sister Wives. If you're new here, welcome. This is your space for real talk, real drama, and the truth behind reality TV. So sit back, subscribe, and don't forget to leave your comments below. Because this time around, the tale isn't being told by Cody. It's being told by the woman they attempted to silence. It began at 2:14 a.m., no front page headline, no news release. Just a bouncy 2-minute video that popped up on Reddit one day and went viral. No theme song, no credits, just a dingy hallway, the fluorescent lights humming, and a camera position that seemed like someone was going out of their way not to be noticed. At first glance, it didn't seem like much, just background noise and behind-scenes chatter. But then the voices came through, low, intense, and impossible to ignore. Robyn's voice came first. She sounded nervous but sharp. She's planning something, she whispered. Meri's been talking to people who support her leaving. There was a pause, like she was holding back what she really didn't want to say. If she exposes the truth, you won't make it through this. Then Cody appeared. His voice, calm and flat, sliced through like a knife. She doesn't have the courage. She's threatened it for years. We'll take her out. And just like that, the entire dynamic shifted. Fans didn't require high-definition video. They didn't require clear audio. They recognized those voices. They sensed the tension, and they knew exactly what was transpiring. This was not an act. This was a private war room session with reality TV's so-called power couple caught red-handed, trying to prevent Meri from speaking her truth. And the fans, they weren't having it. TikTok went crazy with frame-by-frame breakdowns. YouTube was filled with reaction videos, and on X, Twitter's new name, it was chaos. But this time, people weren't just disappointed, they were angry. Because this wasn't about a marriage breaking down anymore. This was about control. This was about Meri, who had been gradually shoved to the periphery, quietly erased by two individuals who constructed their image on being the solid ones. And now that masterfully crafted image was crumbling. The betrayal stung. Worse, not because it hurt, but because it was intended. Beyond the sobs, the apologies, and the holy words was a deliberate action, strategy, a subtle attempt to control the narrative and shove aside the one woman who had remained faithful longer than any other. In a matter of 2 minutes, that shaky late-night video broke everything we thought we knew about sister wives. And in that breach, Meri's voice finally had space to emerge. No production crew, no studio lighting, no glam, just Meri swinging on a porch swing, wrapped in a gray sweater with snow falling softly behind her. That was how she decided to truly speak, for the first time. After years of carefully scripted confessionals and being overshadowed, she grabbed the mic back. There was no thunderous soundtrack, no rapid editing, no colorful YouTube-style opening, just one camera, one soft light, and a woman who had spent years waiting to be able to say what had never been permitted on the air. It wasn't revenge, it wasn't bitterness, it was something stronger. Visibility. I gave it all for this family. She spoke softly, and when it hurt, I remained silent. When I was treated like I was invisible, I smiled. Her voice cracked, not for dramatic effect, but because she'd been holding it in for so long. She did not scream. She did not call out anyone's name. But every sentence felt like it weighed on her chest for more than 10 years, waiting to be said. And just like that, the internet stopped. This wasn't the Meri viewers had watched cut into silence for 18 seasons. This wasn't the cold, distant, or uninterested wife Cody had talked about repeatedly. No, this was an actual woman. A woman who had been marginalized, silenced, and deliberately managed. And now she was sharing her tale. One of the most powerful moments came when she looked directly into the lens, right into the hearts of the viewers, and whispered, "I'm not unstable. I'm free." That one line broke people. Comments poured in, not only from admirers, but from women, from survivors, from anyone who'd ever had to shut up just to maintain peace. Her statement wasn't loud. It wasn't sensational, but it hit like a punch to the stomach. Because honesty like that doesn't require bells and whistles. Meri's quiet truth hit harder than any tell-all special or reunion show ever could. It cut through all the glitz, exposed the careful editing, and it flipped. The script TLC had helped Cody and Robyn control for years. She wasn't just another cast member anymore. She was the truth teller, the one finally showing difference.